We'll start with Joe Haggerty. Go ahead, Hags.
Hey, Cam, how's it going?
Good, Joe. Yourself?
Good, thank you very much. Just curious from your perspective if the expectations or what you want to see out of this team have changed, just given, pretty significant changes roster-wise, bringing a lot of new guys in. And is it going to take a while to sort of get a read on the team, or the expectations exactly the same?
Well, the expectations are certainly high here, Joe, and there's no need to change that. Obviously, we're going to see what transpires here the first handful of games. Training camp, 6 preseason games, you don't really get your lineup or what you think your lineup may be until at least the last one, maybe the last two. So, we'll take a look at the first handful of games and really see where we're at and if we have to adjust anything.
Thanks.
Go to Steve Conroy.
Hey, Cam, how you doing?
Good, Steve. Yourself?
Good. Just judging from the preseason, I know the first few games were a lot of guys who headed down to Providence, but did anything jump out at you that is a concern, whether it's the fourth line or the McAvoy four-bit pairing, or what? Did anything jump out at you as a concern?
Not necessarily a concern, but I still think we need to flush out, what maybe the bottom part of the lineup looks like. Is Charlie Coyle going to be able to mesh well with Taylor and Craig? So, there's only one game there, so we want to see a little bit more of that. But nothing really negative jumped out to speak of. I mean, obviously, Allmark, we kind of knew that he'd have a slower camp than most. He didn't play. I think his last game was early April last year, so. We kind of expected a little bit of a slow start from him. So I know that goalie Bob's been working with him, getting him more reps in practice. So we'll see where that goes as well.
And we've talked about the championship window a lot here, and obviously there's it's time sensitive. But the signing of Taylor Hall, how much do you think that can possibly extend that window? And was that the thinking at all behind that signing?
Well, yeah, I mean, Taylor's a great player in this league, so, we certainly wanted to keep him. He adds an element on our left side, with speed and certainly hockey sense and creativity. I think he can drive a little bit more offense and then necessarily needs, a centerman that he lost in Krejci. Like I said, we'll see where Charlie Coyle fits in that regard. But, we have Brad for a few more years. We're going to hopefully get Charlie McAvoy done here shortly, and then we've got Pasta to come up. So, we still feel we got some guys for the future that help us compete. But Taylor, we want him to be a part of that for sure.
And is something close on Charlie?
Yeah, Don and Evan have been working with Charlie's camp the last couple of days. So my hopes are we'll see something here in short order, but you never know until it's signed on the dotted line.
Great, thank you.
Kevin Dupont.
Hey, Cam. Good to see you again.
You too, Kevin.
I'm just wondering if we can go back to July and get some more context from you in terms of all the signings. And I know it's almost impossible to group them all together, but it's all a function of time and circumstance and personnel. But you've gone out in the second round before. You've never gone out and been this, if you will, aggressive in terms of spending dollars. So what was your mindset about satisfaction with the team, dissatisfaction, and kind of what was it all about?
Well, yeah, we knew what Tuukka's situation was going to be, and then we heard from David Krejci at the end of the year what his thoughts were about going back home. So that, those two things maybe made us look at the roster a little bit differently. And then, losing in the second round, we can't expect to bring the same group back and think we're going to get different results. I know other teams say the same thing, but that's the reality of it. So, we felt we need a little bit more depth in the bottom part of our lineup. We certainly hope that, Jake DeBrusk was going to come in with a fresh attitude and, maybe being a somewhat normal season will be more beneficial for a guy like Jake. I think it was very difficult for him, obviously being a single guy and in an environment where you're really closed off to the rest of the world for the past year and a half or so. So we felt, our top part of the lineup was still going to produce for us. We feel the PK is strong with the addition of Forbert. on the back end, and power play, we think we can produce there. So it's just a matter of, getting a little bit more 5-on-5 throughout the lineup, and hopefully with those additions that we can accomplish that.
And if I could just ask you one more, just to focus specifically on the three guys, if you will, in the bottom six, those Foligno, Holla, Nosek, what do they give you?
Well, they've all played in the league and had some success in the league. With Foligno, certainly, his leadership qualities speak for themselves. This guy, in my opinion, is born to be a Boston Bruin, although his dad may not like to hear that. But I think those guys, bring a compete level. They know what their jobs are. They go out and they know the types of players that they have to be successful, and they've shown that. So I think it brings a little bit more stability as far as hockey awareness. And also, I think they can contribute offensively. I think they've shown that a little bit in the past, and I think, we can expect that here.
Okay, thanks, Cam. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Go to Kirk Ledecky.
Hi, Cam. Just going back to what you comment you made about Mike Foligno and just organizational values, the attributes that the Bruins embody. How important is that in the process when you're looking at trades, when you're looking at signings? Obviously, it's got to play an important role, but just going back to some of the opponents you've played over the years, like where does that factor in terms of your approach and your expectations for the guys you're bringing in from outside the organization?
Well, I think we really do a good job of taking a deep dive in character and personality. I think it's very important to, know what we're bringing into this locker room, because there's certain expectations that our current players have, what they expect their teammates to be like and play like and practice like. So I think we did a good job of really understanding, who we're bringing in here and how they're going to fit with the group. I think it's very important that it's as seamless as possible, and they know, it's not a secret what kind of leadership group we have here in Boston. I think players across the league understand that, but it's our job to make sure that we're adding not just what they can do on the ice, but how they're going to be as teammates and in the locker room as well.
Great. You talked about Linus Ullmark a little bit. What about Jeremy Swayman and just your general thoughts? I mean, he did play a small sample size, but he's been in the organization a while. What are your thoughts on him and where he's headed from here?
Well, it looks to me like he's got a bright future. Goaltending is a unique position, as everybody knows, and I think Jeremy's got such a great head on his shoulders. He's seems a lot more mature than he is on the ice. Certainly off the ice, same way. He practices hard. He's out there staying as long as guys want to shoot on him. He'll be out there, but he's a competitor as well. That's what I love about our goaltending in the past. They do like to compete, and Jeremy's no different.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Matt Porter.
Hey, Cam. Two quick ones. One, do you at this point anticipate that Tuukka or David could be back with the Bruins at all?
Well, the door is open. We'll see what happens. I mean, Tuukka's, going through his rehab process, and we'll see where that takes him. We told them both that the door is open if they do decide to try and come back, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But, that remains to be seen for both of them. It really depends on where they're at, both mentally and physically. And, from David Krejci's perspective, if he has an interest of coming back and leaving, I know the family situation was very important for him, and rightfully so. So we'll see where it goes.
Okay. And then as you look at the center depth in the organization, which we've obviously discussed a lot in recent years here, how do you feel about the guys coming up? Obviously, Jack had a good preseason, but you're going to need more than just one center, obviously, in the years to come. Do you feel like you'll look to outside maybe help, or how do you feel about those guys?
Well, like you said, Jack had a strong preseason for us. So we have high expectations for him moving forward, whether it's, at some point during this year or later in the year or next year for that matter. But it is it is something the organization has looked at and say, okay, where are we going to be in a few years' time? So, we've got time to address it, but not a lot of time, but we will certainly focus on that position.
Jimmy Murphy.
Hey, Cam, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, Jimmy?
Good, good. Just going back to Charlie, obviously, I'd say over the last 6 to 8 months, we've seen some pretty hefty extensions for defensemen, people in his category. How do you guys weigh that in? And, what have you made clear to him when it comes to that, when all these comparables come up?
Well, for us, it's the marketplace, at times gets set during the free agent period, which, could be a little overinflated as we've all seen in free agency. That's just the nature of the business. But, I think in the past we've been very fair and honest with our players when we negotiate with them. It's not about trying to win anything. It's about trying to land at the right spot where both sides are very happy. And that's what we hope to do with Charlie.
And what's been, obviously you guys want him here for a while, but too, I imagine, has he expressed a desire to be here for a while going forward? He seems to really be embracing the role that he's growing into right now.
I haven't heard any indication that Charlie, wouldn't want to play here for his whole career. So that's what we're looking towards, and hopefully we can, get something done that gives him an opportunity to do just that. So we'll see where it goes. But I think Charlie, to your point, he's embraced Boston. He went to college here. I think he likes the city, loves the sports environment, loves our fan base. Playing in front of a packed house every night is certainly something special that, not many teams, there's a number of teams that can say that, but it's certainly special when you actually, step on the rink and on the ice there and you see a packed house. So, like I said, I haven't seen or heard anything from Charlie that gives me any reason why, he wouldn't want to play here as long as possible.
Thanks a lot, Cam.
Yeah, no problem.
Mick Colagio.
Cam, the 88 team that went to the Cup Series, I'm trying to figure out, I'm thinking Moog, Bork, Wesley, and you in 94 when you had that monster year, unfortunately truncated by the injury, but 50 goals and short amount of games. So much can change, even in success. You always think of teams blowing it up when they're bad. We're now half the team from 2019 Game 7's gone. And did you anticipate that this was possible this soon to have this much turnover on the club? Because you guys, your core guys have been here forever and a day, which is incredible. I mean, record-setting stuff.
Right.
And yet there's so much. It's so fluid. Otherwise, is that a function of the cap, or is it just sort of like the volatility of what happens? You lose, you feel like you got to change it. Are these individual situations just add up to this, and that's just what happens? Because I'm just blown away by how much things change in a short amount of time for a team that did really well.
Yeah, it's a great question or point. I think a lot of it has to do with cap. When you've got certain players that are coming up that have success, and you got to try to figure out how to make everybody fit. So there's that component. Then obviously, if you don't win, you got to look at your roster and say, okay, where can we improve? So that's the other component. So those two things combined, really, especially lately with the flat cap environment. You try not to get yourself in a situation where you may overpay for players that you think you can maybe, find in the organization or find somewhere else. But unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast where you're going to see a little bit more turnover than maybe you had in the past, for sure.
And I got to correct myself. Moog wasn't even part of that team in '94. He was gone. So,
that's a long time ago.
I guess it is.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
We'll do a last call for questions and go back to Joe Haggerty for a follow-up.
Hey, Cam, one more. Just hard to believe that Bergie is 36 and he's been here for 18 years now. Obviously in the last year of his deal, and has said that he wants to wait until after the year to move forward. Just curious from an organizational standpoint, I don't know what the right word is, hope, expectation, whatever, but is there the belief that he's going to want to continue for a few more years beyond this one as the captain of the team?
Well, I give Bergie a ton of credit, which, happens a lot around here. He wasn't just jumping at an extension, without really knowing if he was going to be able to commit the time and energy that he has to be the player that he is. played a lot of hockey, had some significant injuries in his career. So I think he really wants to, and rightfully so, see how he feels at the end of the year and see if he still has the passion and the drive to be the player that he'd like to be. You know, we're going to give him all that time and space as needed. I certainly would love to see him continue, but we'll see where it goes.
Thanks, Cam.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cam, and thank you, media, for joining us. We'll see you all on the same link at 1 p.m. for Don Sweeney.
Thanks, guys.